It's 6 o'clock Central African time. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. It's time to rise and shine. Yep, that's the name of the program right here on Channel Africa, where we bring you the African perspective. Broadcasting live from our studios in Johannesburg, Afrique du Sud, South Africa. Yes, I'm Peter Ndoro, and I am with the amazing Asanda Beda.
Oh, am I amazing? I accept that title. Thank you so much. How are you, Mr. Peter
I'm
Ndoro?
good. Wednesdays.
No,
Akani Klani, man.
Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we're together for the next 3 hours. And of course, my name is Asanda Beda. Coming up on the show, we talk about Ivory Coast. They're heading to the polls this weekend in a tightly contested presidential election. A busy continent we have.
Yeah.
Elections.
I mean, with 54 countries, they're happening all the time, aren't they?
Yeah. And also, South Africa stands accused of double standards in its foreign policy. We'll find out about that. It's according to a new report by the Southern African Litigation Center. And of course, there'll be more than just those two stories coming up. So stay with us and let's do this from the African perspective. It's time for news. It's 2 minutes past 6. Let's say good morning to Onele Nzinzi, and then Musibudi Makura will follow with sports headlines.
SABC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Asanda, and a very good morning to our listeners. The leaders of Madagascar's Gen Z movement, whose protests assisted in toppling the president, Andry Rajoelina, say they disapprove of the prime minister appointed by the country's new ruler. Colonel Michael Randrianarina led a coup last week and was sworn in as head of state on Friday. On Monday, he named businessman Heritalama Rajaonarivelo as his prime minister, but in a statement on Facebook, Gen Z Mada said the appointment was made in a non-transparent manner and without consultation. Gen Z Mada added that the decision runs contrary to the desired structural changes the movement was seeking. Uganda's Electoral Commission has set the 15th of January as the date for the country's general election. President Yoweri Museveni is expected to extend his rule to nearly half a century. Now, Africa's fourth longest ruling leader, Museveni's government has changed the constitution twice to remove age and term limits, allowing him to remain in office since 1986. His main rival is expected to be 43-year-old pop star turned politician Bobby Wine. Wine, whose real name is Robert Kyagulanyi, says Museveni won the last election through ballot stuffing, intimidation of voters, bribery and other rigging tactics. Ruling party officials dismiss the accusations and say Museveni won through genuine support. Leader of South Africa's Economic Freedom Fighters Party, Julius Malema's name has been mentioned at the Madlanga Commission. Witness A has testified that Malema is close friends with suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya. However, nothing about Witness A's testimony links Malema to the allegations being investigated by the Commission. Malema was Witness A's says he was informed about Malema's alleged close relationship with Sibiya by the head of organized crime, General Richard Shibiri.
He said Z is a close friend of Julius Malema, who is a politician, who then tends to be close to General Sibiya. So he was connecting the person that we arrested to Z and then Z to Julius Malema, and then Julius Malema, who is friend to General Sibia, the Deputy National Commissioner.
Justice and Constitutional Development Minister Mamoloko Kubai will represent South Africa at the signing ceremony and high-level conference of the United Nations Convention Against Cybercrime that is scheduled to take place in Hanoi, Vietnam at the weekend. The conference takes place during Cyber Security Awareness Month, which aims to raise awareness about cyber threats and promote safe online practices amongst individuals and organizations. Adopted by the UN General Assembly in December 2024, the convention is the first ever global treaty to address the growing scourge of cybercrime. The minister is part of President Cyril Ramaphosa's delegation on his state visit to Vietnam. Spokesperson to the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Terence Manasseh, explains.
South Africa played an active role in its negotiation and will sign the convention, reaffirming its commitment to strengthen domestic laws, institutional capacity and multilateral cooperation. Over 80 countries are expected at the conference, which emphasizes collective action against the growing and borderless threat of cybercrime and provides essential tools to protect citizens, infrastructure and the justice systems worldwide.
Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Ntsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, Pakistan out of the World Cup semi-final contention after a rain-hit defeat by South Africa, while Russia banned as neutral athletes at the winter qualifiers. Details coming up at 6:30.
New day, new stories. Start your morning right with Rise and Shine on Channel Africa.
Every morning after the 6 o'clock news, we bring you something we call the Africa Roundup. And what it is we take a look at the top stories that played out in the last 24 hours, just to make sure that you're kept up to date, and we set you up for the news day ahead. And we do this with our team of journalists and reporters from across the continent, putting all of those stories into context. And we begin with this one. Investors will be closely watching an election in Ivory Coast on Saturday amid declining production in the world's top cocoa producer. David Doyle brings you the key issues for investors.
Ivory Coast has a plan to combat the impact of climate change on the economy. However, it's unclear how implementation will progress given dwindling climate financing for Africa. The cocoa sector may also come under pressure from the European Union's landmark anti-deforestation law. It's not yet taken effect, but would require EU importers to prove their products did not cause deforestation. Nevertheless, Ivory Coast is one of the fastest growing economies in the region. Its international bonds are some of the best performing in Africa. Market participants say that's attracted investors who do not traditionally put their money into frontier debt. However, relatively new entrants may feel uneasy if election-related violence breaks out in a country with a history of fraught polls.
Also in Ivory Coast, in a town torn apart by election violence and mass killings more than a decade ago, peace activists say they have hit on a way to help avoid a repeat of the bloodshed, reconciliation marriages between rival groups. Alice Rizzo reports.
In recent years, dozens of men and women from different communities have tied the knot. That's thanks to activities organised by the local non-profit Olympia, which offers support and counselling to couples. Olympia director Alexi Kango.
I see a very promising future in the sense that marriages will create many grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and it will be one bloodline, the mixed Guerre-Dioula bloodline. You see, there are people who will live together and therefore will be obliged to share everything in terms of inheritance and language.
One couple who embraced the initiative is Martinez Podi from the Gare group and Elisabel Guadio Ebaule. They married in 2012, a year after the massacre in Dukwe. At first, both Quadio and Podi's parents were against their union.
The Guere people are, that's it, they're really greedy. They don't really reach out to others. And then, well, we are criticized for being cannibalistic. People who eat humans. You see, all of that is prejudice Today, we really live in harmony.
Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has called for stronger partnerships and coordinated approaches to tackle ongoing conflicts across Africa. He made the remarks on Tuesday as he opened the Land Forces Commanders Symposium in the capital of Rwanda, Kigali, which brings together military leaders to discuss strategies for enhancing peace and security on the continent.
We cannot expect others to carry the responsibility for Africa's security. None of the challenges that we face are beyond our capacity to manage or resolve. We've seen what is possible. Our armies already work side by side under regional and continental frameworks. Over the next 2 days, I urge you to be frank with one another, share experiences, and challenge assumptions.
Namibia's Health and Social Services Minister, Dr. Esperance Luvindao, has announced in Parliament that the country has recorded a second case of Mpox. The patient is receiving a full course of treatment at Swakopmund District Hospital and is being kept in isolation.
First was on the 18th of October 2025, and the second was officially confirmed today. The patients are receiving comprehensive treatment at the Swakopmund District Hospital and are in isolation. I wish to highlight that the first case was related to cross-border travel within SADC region, and then the second case reported today. With that said, I wish to importantly highlight that the suspected cases include one from Rundu, who has not been confirmed as a positive case. Therefore, the positive cases stand at 2. Our robust surveillance systems include individuals who are tracking signs, symptoms consistent with Mpox, promptly identified, allowing for testing and treatment.
Beneath a smog-choked sky, the once glistening waters of Gabes in southern Tunisia run dark with rust-coloured streaks. Trees are dying, fish vanishing, and suffocating stench infuses the air. Zachary Goldman tells us the story.
A generation ago, Gabes was an ecological jewel of green oases. Today, the town is a toxic wasteland rife with cancer, respiratory illness, and bone disease. Residents, environmentalists, and officials say they know the culprit: a phosphates processing plant run by the state-owned Tunisian Chemical Group, or CGT. Built a half-century ago, the Gabes complex is Tunisia's biggest phosphates processing plant and accounts for over half of its phosphate output. President Sayed has described conditions in Gabes as, quote, environmental assassination, but blamed a previous government and called on ministries to fix chemical leaks. But Krayem Taufik, a local doctor, confirmed he's seen illnesses spike as conditions worsened.
Before, cancer cases were rare, honestly, in our area. We used to record one case every 3 or 4 months, but now, no. Now it's every day.
Right, that's how we come to the end of today's edition of the Africa Roundup. We'll have more for you tomorrow after the 6 o'clock news. Stay with us though, because coming up shortly, Asanda Beda will be chatting to Dr. Matsanga about issues, events and stories that have been making headlines in West Africa.
Wake up to the rest of the continent. Rise and shine on Channel Africa.